Hello everyone and welcome along to Formula One Lately. I'm Ashleigh Wright and I'm back. The podcast is back. I'm joined by producer Luke, who is here making sure I get the job done. I've been at the beach. I've been going for walks in my break. I'm refreshed. I'm well rested. I've got a tan. Let's do it. Season 2.
I'm surprised you came back. There was actually talk about replacing you with Franco Colapinto or Ollie Behrman mid-last season.
But no talk about Jack Doohan. That's all right. We'll be talking about him plenty during today's show. Look, last season really did just get away from me. I'll admit my rookie season was not nearly as impressive as Oscar Piastri's. For those who are new to the pod, I'm a full-time radio journalist and news and sports presenter, and I do this show in my spare time, all on my little lonesome. Because of this, it became super easy for me to blame my 9 to 5 as the reason as to why I stopped recording, because my 9 to 5 is actually more of a 10 to 7, and I'd always say I didn't have time before or after during the week to record episodes. It's a new year, it's a new me. I even traveled to Singapore to attend my first international F1 race last year, and I had so many plans to record an episode live from the paddock, and I just didn't. That's not going to happen again this year, both the being lazy part and the going to the Singapore GP again. That's just not in my 2025 budget. I'll admit I did spin out during 2024 and retired early into the pits, so I wouldn't blame you guys for expecting an abrupt breaking tile to be posted on F1's Instagram today to say this guy was the one replacing me. Some athletes can pinpoint the exact moment they knew they'd made it. They knew they'd reached the pinnacle of their sport or were about to receive the call-up. That's rarely the case for Formula One drivers, and Jack Doohan is no exception. Jack began karting competitively at 9 years old. This was before making his single-seater debut in 2018 in the British F4 Championship, moving from the always sunny Gold Coast in Queensland to the dreary and unpredictable United Kingdom at just 15. That year, Jack also participated in both the German and Italian Formula 4 championships on a part-time basis, but not until 2023, when Jack was announced as the reserve driver for Alpine, would he consider that the dream of racing in Formula 1 could actually be a reality. Because, as we know, Luke, there are only 20 seats. But flash forward to 2025 and the Wonder from Down Under has one of those spots on the grid. This kid is 22. He was only 21 when the drama went down of him replacing Esteban Ocon at Alpine to finish off last year's season after the latter departed the team early following a tumultuous 2024. I am so pumped to talk about this. Who the bloody hell is Jack Doohan? What do you need to know about him? How is he racing so well now? This is your cheat sheet because he's only going to be talked about more and more and more and more. And you can say, listening to me bang on about it for the next 15 minutes or so, that you were one of the first who knew who Jack Doohan was. Born in the Gold Coast on January 20th, 2003.
Happy belated birthday.
22 years young. Jack grew up surrounded by motorsport with his father Mick Doohan, a legendary 5-time 500cc motorcycle champion. Young Jack shared that same passion for speed, but he opted to begin his racing career on 4 wheels instead of 2 and was soon challenging for top honours in karting. It's reported a gift from a famous friend of his father, and an accident when he was 5 years old was what put Jack on the path to racing cars instead of bikes. F1 legend Michael Schumacher and Mick Doohan are good friends and had been neighbours in Monaco. On one visit, it's said that Schumacher gave a then 3-year-old Jack and his sister a go-kart, but that alone wasn't actually enough to get Jack into racing on 4 wheels. It wasn't until he was 5 and broke his leg when he was T-boned while biking that he was prompted into a rethink. Jack first got behind the wheel of a go-kart at the Lismore Kart Club in regional New South Wales back in 2011, which was actually the same year that Oscar Piastri took up karting. This led to the pair regularly meeting in races all around Australia. By 13 years old, Jack had already clinched his first 2 titles, winning the KA2 and KA Junior categories in Australia. Success took him to Europe for 2017, where he finished 3rd in the European Karting Championship, winning a round in Sweden. The following season was Jack's first in single-seaters, and he tackled a number of rounds across 3 different Formula 4 championships. His best results were in the UK, where he took 3 wins and finished 5th overall, as well as ending up top rookie. In 2019, his talent was actually identified by future Alpine team principal Oliver Oakes, as Jack raced in Formula 3 for Oakes' junior squad. It was the beginning of a successful partnership. The Aussie took 5 wins and and finished runner-up in Asian F3 for High-Tech before graduating to the FIA Formula 3 Championship for 2020. In Jack's second full season of F3, he took 4 victories with Trident, including 2 at Spa, to finish second overall in the series. His impressive debut in F2 led to his first ever outing in a Formula 1 car. This is when Jack completed 13 laps of the Mexico City circuit during free practice 1 and acquitted himself well, despite the challenge of learning a new circuit. At the season's end, he had also racked up nearly 600 Ks in the Abu Dhabi Young Driver Test. In 2023, he was promoted to the reserve driver for Alpine, while dovetailing a second season in Formula 2. He rounded off the campaign by winning in Abu Dhabi, his third victory of the year, to finish third overall. Plus, there was another FP1 outing in Mexico City where Jack completed 28 laps. After graduating from the Alpine Academy, Jack was appointed full-time reserve driver last season, with plenty of opportunities to get behind the wheel of an F1 car, which we'll talk more on in a minute. There was also an emotional opportunity to share the racetrack with his father Mick, as the pair enjoyed a demonstration run together at Albert Park, which I was actually there to witness live in the flesh. Jack piloted an old Benetton B200 while his father rode a MotoGP Honda RCV 213. It was the first time they'd been given a chance to share their passion on track together, and now a full season of Formula 1 awaits. December 2nd, 2024. A statement from Alpine reads, BWT Alpine Formula 1 team announces that reserve driver Jack Doohan will race in the 2024 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix in place of Esteban Ocon. The change allows Esteban to be released to Haas to drive in the postseason test in Abu Dhabi. Jack, who has already been announced as an official driver for the 2025 season alongside Pierre Gasly, will race with the number 61 as his registered reserve driver number and will also participate in the end-of-season test for the team at the Yas Marina circuit. The team would like to thank Esteban for his time at the team, and he will remain part of the team's history, achieving the first win for Alpine in Formula 1. We wish Esteban the best for the future. I'll fast-track through this, but it was confirmed back in June that Esteban Ocon would depart Alpine after 2024, bringing his 5-year spell at the team to an end. News later followed that he would switch to Haas in 2025, where he will be partnered by rookie Ollie Behrman. Meantime, Alpine went on to confirm that reserve driver Jack Doohan would become part of their lineup next season as teammate to the incumbent Pierre Gasly. Now, nearing the end of last season, Esteban Ocon was in 14th place in the driver's standings, and he had gone on to crash out of the Qatar Grand Prix. Pierre Gasly was 11th in the standings, and the two Frenchmen have always had like a tense working relationship after being friends and rivals during their junior karting days. Esteban then releases a statement on social media after Alpine's announcement about Abu Dhabi, being like, "I'm so sad, we've tried." It gives conscious uncoupling because he was like, "We've tried, it's just not working, we're really sad about it, we've shared so much together, blah blah blah," but you definitely get the impression that Esteban wasn't the one doing the breaking up in this instance.
Yeah, no, he got sacked.
Yeah, he got booted from the team for one too many sour exchanges, methinks.
Yeah.
So Pierre Gasly is there and he needs a teammate. He'll presumably step up and be the number 1 driver for the team in 2025. And the term teammate is so loose in Formula 1 that it's something where the mate is kind of suggested. It's almost like a silent mate, because realistically the only person you know you should be beating is your teammate, because they're in the same car, or what should be the same car. The closest to being in the same car compared to any others on the grid. Everyone else you can kind of make excuses for, but when there is a qualifying and you're not going any faster than them, they're simply better than you. So you need to find someone who's happy to play almost second fiddle and be good at it, which I think Jack could be. We haven't seen much killer instinct from him just yet, and he seems very agreeable, just very typical Aussie, very laid back. And through all of this is kind of how the world was introduced, or in many ways the non-motorsport world, because the motorsport world has been talking about him for a very long time, but that was the way a lot of people who are consuming F1 casually were introduced to the 21-year-old. And then the pressure, and also just the questions of like, okay, so you're apparently this big shot, right? You've made this big shot move in deciding you want to be at Alpine, you want to take that driver's seat, show us what you can do. So here comes his rookie season. After a slower than desired start debuting in Abu Dhabi at last season's final race, but the car wasn't great at Alpine this past season. It was a bit of a tractor, qualifying 20th but managing a 15th placed finish. He then took part in the Yas Marina post-season test, completing 137 laps and setting the 8th fastest time overall. So I guess the question is, do we like him?
I love him.
I do too. And I think the more we get to see him, the more that he's platformed. I'm hoping more of his personality comes out.
With confidence comes personality.
Yeah, and it's only going to grow. Bring on 2025. That's it for today's show. If you want to join the conversation, hopefully you do. Tell me which rookie you're most looking forward to seeing on the grid this year. Or maybe you're more interested in seeing how Carlos fares at Williams or Lewis at Ferrari. Please give the show a follow and rating. Keep listening because I love having someone to talk to about sports. The season officially gets underway in Melbourne next weekend and I'll be there trackside. So look forward to the content that is to come from that. I'll catch you all in the next episode. Have a good one. Hey guys, Ash here. If you're loving the pod, I've discovered a cool new way you can help support me make more episodes in 2025. Instead of creating a Patreon or some kind of subscription service that limits my content, you can choose to shout me a virtual coffee. I love reading your comments and your opinions, and by buying me a latte or two, you can attach a message which I can then shout out in the next episode of the podcast. So head to buymeacoffee.com/Formula One Lately and shout me a cuppa. It's simple, really. More caffeine equals more content.